Hey guys, today I'd like to take a look at a mask that I find very interesting, and that is the 1992 Don Post Studios Spurt and Ernie. Now I find this mask interesting for a couple of reasons. Now, of course, as you can see, it's this particular version or copy of this mask is not very spectacular as far as the form, but it's very interesting because it ran for quite a long time. So I'm calling this a 1992 only because that was the first year this was introduced, and this design was first seen in the 1992 Don Post Studios catalog. And I'll show you that here. Here's a picture of this in 1992. Now the name Spurt and Ernie obviously is a play on words on the Bert and Ernie characters from Sesame Street. And Spurt and Ernie obviously is because this is a very bloody mask. This particular copy, as you can see, is from the year 2000. And we know that because it has this tag on it, and this is the Don Post Studios design from the year 2000. It even says the year 2000 here, but here you can also see this design was the cover of the catalog in the year 2000. One of the things that's interesting about this mask is that it ran for a very long time. It was available from 1992 all the way through the year 2000. So this is one of the last, or the last version of this mask. And so I'll show you a few of the catalog photos through the years here. You could see from these photos it did have a lot of potential in the sculpt. But as you can see, this one was made in China, and it suffers from some of those issues that we see on those masks that were made in China. It's very thin. I've seen thinner masks, but this is very thin, and so it loses some of that sculptural form. It had a lot of potential in those photos of being a pretty nice sculpt, but this one has the typical, as I have called it in the past, potato shape to it. It just becomes sort of an oval shape, but you can still see some of those cool details in this mask. You know, the eyes are kind of distorted because of this thinness, but it has some neat and gory features, which I'll take a look at in just a second. But in reference to that gory aspect, this was added to a group of masks that was known as the Bloody Horror line in Don Post catalogs. And here you can see this mask in the 1993 catalog in its second year when they started this Bloody Horror line of masks. And this Bloody Horror line, it was offered for 10 years from 1993 through 2003, and the masks in this line varied. This particular mask, Spurt and Ernie, was part of the Bloody Horror line all the way until the year 2000. The Bloody Horror line continued without Spurt and Ernie in 2001. So looking back at this mask specifically, it's obviously part of this line that was basically some very gory faces, cut up faces and things like that. This one has some pretty gory details. The ears, I think, are particularly interesting, that they're chopped in half. This other ear here has the entire bottom section missing, so it's very gory. The nose is cut through by this slice, which also exposes the cheekbone here. Then there's a lot of dripping paint, so the paint was applied and then allowed to run down, as you can see. So although the sculpt sort of suffers from that thinness and that sort of typical aspect of the of losing some of that form from the Chinese masks, you can still see there is a lot of very interesting and gory details on this mask, and the paint job's not too bad, really. What's also interesting is that this mask is not slit up the back. I don't know if they were all not slit up the back like this, but it certainly makes for a tight fit. If you ever try to wear this, it's a very small neck, and it's very tough to actually wear. I don't think there's a lot more to know about this mask per se. It is probably not uncommon, but it's one of those masks that just appeared for a very long time, and the earlier copies may have been better, but this is right at the end of the run, and you can see the quality issues that were happening with the Chinese masks. But I find it interesting, and I just wanted to take a look at this as part of that Bloody Horror line that ran for quite some time in the Don Post lineup. So that is the Spurt and Ernie mask, and as always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.